Hey guys, Dr. Kyle Lovelace here. Hey, I'm going to shoot a quick video for you. First of all, from Queen City Health Center, I'm Dr. Kyle Lovelace, and my wife and I, Dr. Holly, have 2 clinics in the Charlotte area. We're also Wellness Way affiliates. Not to talk too much about that, but I want to dive into the video today. Today's video about shifting your thinking so that you can shift your health, in my opinion, is one of the most misunderstood topics, and that is exercise. Now, as you can see, I love to exercise. That was kind of like cocky, as you can see. I like to exercise, whatever, who cares? I like to work out. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of my favorite times to just honestly, I think as guys, we're meant to just be rough and lift weights and do crazy stuff. And I think in our world today, they kind of put guys behind computers, and we're not able to get out and just go crazy. That's my personal feeling. And I think that even for women, getting out and moving and stuff is a big thing. And I think we're just sitting so much that exercise is actually a therapy for a lot of people. And for me, it definitely is. But exercise actually, believe it or not, it can be very bad for you. And now, not for everybody, and for the most people, it's going to be very healthy. But because our stress levels have gotten so high in the world we live in today, and there's so many health issues for a lot of reasons from different stressors, exercise is actually causing more problems for a lot of people than good. And I think because of a wave of all the, I'm not saying anything bad about any of these places, but CrossFit, high intensity workouts, just kind of stuff, boot camps, things like that. Those are all great things, but they've also can be causing a lot of health issues for people. And so this video is to kind of set the stage so you to realize that, especially for women, and I'll walk you through why, but to set the stage for you to realize that high intensity, crazy exercising might actually be doing more harm for you than it is for good. The key to really health isn't necessarily exercise. Believe it or not, it's not necessarily diet either. When it comes to weight loss, what you eat, yeah, plays a role. That you move and things like that are important, but those aren't the 2 determining factors. And I know that for a fact because you'd be surprised how many people come into our clinic that want to lose weight and they're eating really good and they're exercising, but they're not losing weight. Maybe they lost 10, 15 pounds, but then they're hitting this wall and they're not losing weight. And so I want to set that straight for you guys to help you understand why that would happen and why exercise needs to be individualized. It needs to be different for everyone based on how your body is now. What are you dealing with in your life? How well is your body responding to stress? And how well is your body working? Does that make sense? So I'm going to go over 3 scenarios, and there's more than that, but 3 main scenarios when someone should be paying attention to or making sure that they're not exercising like a high intensity type training, even HIIT training, even CrossFit, heavy lifting, a lot of running like marathon training, boot camps, things like that. These are going to be a no-go for these scenarios. Okay, now number 1 I'm going to talk about is menstruation. So if you're a cycling female, I'm talking to you right now. When it comes to exercise, and I've seen really cool results with this with patients, but when it comes to exercise, for menstruating women, the 6-pack abs is not a healthy thing. Let me just say that again. A 6-pack for a menstruating female is not a healthy thing. It tells me they don't have enough fat in their bodies and they're exercising way too hard. And here's why, because when it comes to, and this is a great example for young girls who play sports, like let's say soccer players, and they're doing lots of training and playing lots of sports, they'll actually get to where they don't have a cycle anymore, where they're not having a period anymore. And that's actually not a healthy thing. Although that might sound like a good idea, it's not a healthy thing. Because of the high levels of stress in our world today, a lot of young girls are on birth control, not because of they're trying to have sex or anything. They're on birth control because of health issues, because they're in crazy cramping, they're having too much bleeding, they're having no cycle at all, whatever that is, and they're on birth control because of that, or PCOS, because of the high stress world we live in. Exercise is going to make that worse. For women, when you exercise, when you're stressed, your body needs to produce cortisol and other steroidal hormones. When you're stressed, your body uses progesterone to produce that cortisol instead of the other hormones that you need, like estrogens and things like that. So you're actually going to have more health issues because your body wants to survive. So it's going to use it's going to use progesterone to produce the stress hormone cortisol more than anything else. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through in menstruation. When is it? Now this is saying that your thyroid is okay, your adrenals okay, everything else about your body is great, but just for any female out there during menstruation, I'm going to walk you through your cycle on when you should do different types of exercise. After that, I'm going to go through thyroid, I'm going to go through adrenals and things like that for someone that is in a fatigue mode or has a metabolism issue, things like that. Now, So when it comes to the cycle, the first, let's just start out with the periods. When you're having your period, you want to not do anything intense. You want to reduce stress all around you in your life. And now stress is physical, it's chemical, and it's emotional. So you want to, when we're talking about exercise, that's a physical stress, and it does the same thing to your body as emotional stress does. What you've noticed that when you're in a high stress part of your life and you're going through your period, you're going to have more problems because your body is producing more cortisol. So when it comes to exercise, no high intensity, no crazy CrossFitting, none of that stuff during your period. What you want to be doing is just moving. Okay, moving is the key to life, and you want to get blood flow. The reason women get cramping during their cycle is because there's not enough oxygen getting to the uterus. Just like a hamstring cramp, it's a muscle, and it cramps when there's not enough blood flow or oxygen. So your whole goal during that period of time is to get it blood flow and to help hormones do what they need to do. Okay, so you can have a normal cycle. So that means not overstressing yourself to where your hormones get off, number one, and number two, helping blood flow to the uterus. And you're going to do that by things like yoga, so light yoga, maybe get out and walk, do some stretching techniques. Things like that are going to be your best bet during your period. Now the week after the period, hey, if you have a good adrenal function, good thyroid function, get out there and go hard. If you want to go high intensity workout, if you want to do CrossFit, go for it. The week after that, so 2 weeks after your period, you're going to relax again. Okay, we want to slow down, not crazy working out, not high intensity, because that's when you're going through ovulation ideally, and you want to ovulate. You want to let your body reproduce like it's supposed to, and the reproductive system to work like it's supposed to. If your cycle is anything less or more than 5 to 7 days, that's a problem. That's not healthy. So we want to make sure you're getting into that 5 to 7 day period, and so the ovulation period, you want to be relaxed. Okay, so same thing, yoga, get walking, things like that. And then that week after ovulation, go hard, do whatever you want. Go high intensity, do working out. Now, obviously there's a level of you don't want to go too hard, but I think you can based on how you feel. If you're someone that exercises and you're just drained all the time, like when you work out, it makes you feel worse, listen to your body. It's telling you that. If you work out and you start to feel emotional in the middle of your workout, like that's a regular thing for you, that's because you're probably having a thyroid or an adrenal issue. Okay, so I want to talk about that next. When it comes to thyroid and metabolism, that's your energy source. Okay, your adrenals, your thyroid, this is a big part of your body having energy and producing energy. And so if you're exercising a lot and you're tired all the time, you're just like literally like you got hit with a tranquilizer gun at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day, like you just can't move, you need to stop exercising. That's another physical stress. Your body only has a certain amount of energy to go around, and so you're actually draining it, and you probably have, if you don't know it, you probably have something like a thyroid issue or an adrenal issue. And that can lead to, adrenal issues can lead to immune system problems where you're always getting sick all the time. Hey, thyroid issues can as well. So if you've never had your thyroid checked, testing is the key to that. But if you're feeling exhausted during your workouts, stop working out. And we've known people that have had parasites, like have digestive issues, that it actually drains them, right? So they're having a parasite and they're like, I don't know why I'm tired all the time. I don't know why I can't work out. And they come to find out that we do a stool test and find out they have a parasite. And I was like, well, your energy is pretty much being drained and you're constantly having toxins in your body. So if you have a thyroid issue, high intensity, heavy workouts is not a good idea. What I'm going to recommend instead, especially with hypo or hyperthyroid really, what I'm going to recommend instead is, again, yoga. Get out and move. I know this might not seem like we've been taught that you got to go kill yourself to lose weight, but the truth is you're going to lose way more weight with a thyroid or adrenal problem if you don't exercise. Now you need to move. I'm not saying don't move. I'm not saying be a couch potato. You need to do stretches. You need to stretch your muscles. You need to get those moving. You need to get out and walk. You need to do range of motion exercises. Yoga is a great activity to do that. You can even do some Pilates. That's a great activity to do that. Bar technique, I believe, is a great activity for that as well. But you don't want to overstress yourself. So pay attention to your body. If you're feeling fatigued, stop doing it, okay? And get plenty of rest with that as well. Some other things with this as well is your diet. I said on this live here that diet and exercise aren't the key to weight loss, and it's not, because if you have a thyroid issue, an adrenal issue, hey, you can eat a low carb diet and or even try to do something like the keto, and you're going to actually feel horrible. Because guess what? You need carbohydrates to produce a lot of the thyroid hormones that you do. So if you follow the keto diet, and you probably have some other health issues if you have a thyroid issue like digestive or gallbladder issues too, you're actually going to feel really bad. So what I would recommend for someone with a thyroid issue is be okay with eating some carbs. Now, I'm not talking about go get a piece of bread and eat grains that are genetically modified. You still eat healthy. So you eat organic things, like organic sweet potatoes are great options. Even organic potatoes might be a good option for you. But stuff that's gonna have more higher carbohydrate count, because you really do need that right then. That's a big tip right there for you guys. I know the world we live in today is like, and even I talk about reducing pasta, rice, breads, grains, and sugar. I'm still going to stick with that, but use the vegetables and even fruits that are higher in carbohydrates because you're going to need it, okay? And don't be afraid to eat, right? That's not always the key to weight loss, is not eating enough. Calories in, calories out doesn't actually work. Same thing with your adrenals. And now how do you test? So you do a thyroid panel, proper thyroid panel. Hey, if you're exhausted and you've had your thyroid checked by your doctor and it doesn't say, you said you have no thyroid issue, I'm gonna question that, because many times their thyroid panel is only about 2 or 3 hormones that doesn't even have to do with the thyroid. Like TSH, it isn't even a thyroid hormone in the first place. So there's much more that we need to test to tell about your thyroid. Same thing with the adrenals. I recommend what's called the Dutch hormone test. It's a 4-point adrenal test throughout your day, and it'll tell us what your body's doing all throughout your day, and if your adrenals are crashed, like they're not working, or you just have a lot of stress in your world, we need to start to address that and give you things to help you adapt. If you have a thyroid issue, adrenal issue, you're gonna wanna do something to help you adapt. So chiropractic care is amazing for that. Ashwagandha is really good for that as well. But again, it's addressing what is the thyroid problem. Is it an autoimmune issue? Well, then there's certain things you're going to need to do for that. Is it a digestive system issue? Is it a adrenal fatigue issue, right? Is it a pituitary gland issue? So there's so many levels of what could be causing that thyroid problem. And then the final part with that, with your thyroid, is you got to address the thyroid, and that's where the testing comes in. And we use herbs and things like that to support the body, so your thyroid function gets back to normal. Synthroid, levothyroxine, those things don't work. Yeah, they might change T3 and TSH on your testing, but they don't work. And I know they don't work because you know they don't work. All these patients that come in with thyroid problems are on thyroxine and Synthroid. If they work, they wouldn't be coming in with all the problems that are from thyroid issues. Does that make sense? Like, they're still fatigued, you're still having problems losing weight, it's not working, it's just keeping things changing on a test called T3 and TSH, which isn't what I'm concerned with. So thyroid and adrenals are very important. The final one I'm going to talk about, and I wasn't even thinking about this until today, is pregnancy and breastfeeding. Hey, if you're pregnant, I get that people think it's cool that you can go do CrossFit, and hey, I've seen a lot of people do that and they do just fine. They have kids and everything's great. But for a good majority of people, that's going to be really hard on your pregnancy. You need energy, you need certain hormone function to have a good, healthy pregnancy. Exercise is a stressor. You want to reduce stress when you're pregnant, not increase stress when you're pregnant. Does that make sense? Now, do you need to move during exercise? Absolutely, you should be moving as much as possible. If you don't, you're gonna have a hard pregnancy as well, because that's a stressor. So movement, not necessarily exercise, is what you wanna be doing. Do lots of, get on YouTube and look up pregnancy yoga, look up different pregnancy workouts that you can do that are just movement exercises. For most women, that's gonna be the best bet. Now, are there women that do CrossFit through pregnancy? Yeah. But for the most, again, that's not going to be a good idea. Did it work for them? Maybe. But for the most, it's not a good idea because it's a high amount of stress. And then breastfeeding. Look, your body's trying to produce milk for a baby to live. You're trying to feed a baby. Please, if you're breastfeeding, and obviously pregnancy as well, don't worry about the scale, right? Like, I get it that we've been taught that what we look like and our weight and all that stuff, especially for women, is just so important, but you shouldn't be on a scale on a daily basis. If you're breastfeeding, you're going to be holding extra weight. Number one, you have milk. Number two, you're going to have some more fat. Your hormones are in a certain place where it needs to be that way, and that's okay. Now, if you're sitting around as a couch potato and you're eating like junk, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone that eats good, grass-fed organic meats, healthy vegetables, eats a good, clean diet, and is moving throughout their day, doing things like stretching, doing yoga techniques, doing walking, things like that. That's a healthy, pregnant, and breastfeeding mom, okay? So if you're breastfeeding, you need your energy to produce milk. If you start high intensity exercise, you're probably gonna lose that milk supply, which I can promise you that scale is not worth it. Cool? So that's my top 3 things for exercise. And so that title there is exercise good for you. Hey guys, I didn't talk to you a lot, but I'm talking to you in this adrenal and thyroid issue as well. And you can have that too. I had a patient just probably 4 weeks ago end up coming in and having all the symptoms of Hashimoto's, a guy, right, who does a lot of exercising, found out he has an autoimmune with his thyroid. We're gonna have to change his whole exercising because he can't do that anymore, right? If you're a guy and you're working out like crazy and you're exhausted all the time, then you're working out too much. You're stressing your body out. You're gonna affect your adrenals. Or hey, if you're a guy and you're working out really hard, but you don't feel strong, you feel weak, and you feel actually like it's making you worse, let's do a hormone test and see what your estrogen levels look like. That's a big one. I've had a lot of guys who crazy workout schedule, and then we do a hormone test. We found their estrogen levels are really high. We found their testosterone's low, and then we start to shift that around with working with hormones, and guess what happens? They actually start to cut down again, and they get their energy levels back. It's all about hormones. Point of all this is, it's all about hormones. It's about your stress hormones and your androgens. Very important to understand. Trust me on this. Menstruation, thyroid, adrenals, pregnancy, breastfeeding, those are some key areas where you should really pay attention to how you're exercising. All right. Hey guys, I hope you like this. Make sure you share it. I think, in my personal opinion, this is one of the most misunderstood areas. Like if you go on YouTube and talk about and look at exercise, you're going to get a million opinions. This one goes with physiology, and I think it's one of the best ways to go. And yeah, so share this. Thanks guys. We'll talk to you later.